What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich. Apologies if I sound a little odd. I am dealing with a cold, but we are going to power through because this incredible episode of Star Wars television is revitalizing me. It is giving me life. First up, I got my co-host, Damon Gray, joining me as per usual. How you doing today, Damon?
Should I say less just to make you talk more?
No, the opposite of the time to do that.
I don't know. I like to see you suffer, but this is not fair because I'm not the one making you suffer. This feels unfair. I don't like this.
It was my baby's first cold, and now I'm dealing with the repercussions. But that will not stop me from talking about Skeleton Crew and introducing our wonderful guests today. Coming in hot, we got co-host of the Phase Hero podcast, friend of the show, many-time guest. Welcome back, Aaron Perine.
Hello, gents. How are we doing?
Other than a cold, doing pretty darn well. How about yourself?
I heard your animated character voice going on. I am sorry that the baby had a cold, friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it was tough while she was dealing with it. I felt so bad because she was just so upset all the time. And I will say I'd rather this. Like, she's good to go now. She's happy. She's chipper. So I'd rather me be sick than her because, I get to work from home. I was doing shows all day in the comfort of my own home, wearing a hoodie, hammering Dayquil all day long. So it's not too bad. Joining us as well, co-host of the Reckless Rebellion podcast. Finally, for the first time on the show, Jack Pues.
Yeah. Finally, indeed. I was trying to come up with a good quote from this episode to say, but all I could think of was "shut up," and we can't do that because it's a podcast. So here we are. But thanks for having me on. Yeah, we're finally making it happen. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you on. And before we dive into the Star Wars of it all, I want to have another edition of Whatcha, Watchin, and it's extra fun because this isn't like our third show of the week. It's our first show of the week, so we're not talking about the same thing every time. And so I want to know, what are you guys watching, playing, reading in your own time? We all do it so much for work. What are you doing just for enjoyment right now? Damon, I'll throw it to you first. Obviously,
Marvel Rivals.
A ton of Marvel Rivals together. Sometimes going well, sometimes getting our asses beat. What else have you been watching?
Marvel Rivals. That's been my life. It's been my life. And seeing magic in my face every 9 seconds and then dying and then going and respawning and then seeing magic in my face again and then dying and then respawning and then seeing Black Panther in my face and then dying and then respawning. It's kind of like a nice little fun combo between the two sometimes.
How about in the comic book world? I know there's a new magic comic book coming out that you're already
tortured,
too scarred to go and pick up, but what have you been reading?
Oh man, what do I have behind me? I have Absolute Superman #3, which came out last week. And yes, again, the Absolute line of comics have been absolutely great. Same thing with the Ultimate Universe. The Absolute and Ultimate Universe, the mini-verses, the alternate stories that Marvel and DC are telling right now are so good. For when it comes to superhero comics, they're the best things on the shelves right now. Guys, if you want a Spider-Man story where Spider-Man is a full-grown adult with a wife and kids, and he isn't a total D-bag, this is a story. We finally did it. Yay! DJ, you muted.
And I am muted because I was trying to not let you guys hear my sniffles. Go check it out if you haven't read it yet. And check out the Comic Corner podcast co-hosted by Damon, Fat Thor, and AF, where they're talking about all these comics each and every week. What's up, chat? I need that money coming in and say the episode was crazy good. Aisha coming in to say hello and have a great show. Thanks for tuning in, Aisha. Aaron, what have you been watching?
Oh man. Well, other than Skeleton Crew, which was delightful this week, I was thinking about our rankings we did on Phase Hero last week for 2024, and another TV critic over at, I want to say over at THR talked about we are lady parts. I love that show on Peacock. It's great. It's for Muslim women making a punk band and battling some of the preconceived notions about like forming that. And I left it off my thing, like my ranking, because I was like, I probably need to have some movies in here. I can't just have all TV, but it's really revisiting a couple episodes of it. It was really, really fun to like watch that and like bathe in like good times despite the windiness and a possible fire halfway across the city. Yeah. And I guess reading wise, man, goodness. I'm sitting here thinking about if what else I've consumed. Like, I have like all these books in Libby app, and I start 30 pages of them and then like get bored and go to another one. I would suggest though, one thing I read recently that was really really fascinating. There is a novel by oh gosh, what's the name of the author? You can skip me, Jack. Go. I know you don't read, but go.
Yeah, I don't. I famously don't read.
You don't game? What do you do, Jack?
I don't even know what I do with my life.
You watch a Skeleton
but
Crew.
yeah,
You watch
I am
Skeleton
watching
Crew?
Skeleton Crew. I can say that. But I have been watching. I just started. Haven't finished episode 1, but just started Shogun. Just because I've been meaning to watch that show, just never got around to it. Finally said, you know what? Golden Globes just happened, even though it's a fake award show. I'm gonna go ahead and start Shogun. But the show that I finished last week, season 2 of, and I think TJ, I know you've been watching it, Shrinking on Apple TV. It is just one of the best shows I've ever watched. I mean, it makes me cry. Like every now and then I'm like, okay, we're kind of getting to like a, routine with these characters, same kind of, banter. And then all of a sudden they'll just like flip the script and I'm in tears. So I can't recommend that show enough.
Couldn't agree more. I said it a couple of shows ago that there's been twice ever a show has made me just completely break down. Not just a few tears come out, but just completely physically break down. And it was Ted Lasso when Ted had the panic attack in the club. And it just felt too real. And it was a moment I had experienced before and I just crumbled. And then it was the Shrinking penultimate episode. Holy, I mean, don't get me wrong. The finale was incredible. Harrison Ford's performance, but there's a moment in the penultimate specifically with Jason Segel, and it broke me because it was a moment that, again, it's like I've been there, and wow, is that season 2 is one of the best written seasons of television I have ever seen before, and the performances are just so good.
We need more recognition for it, man. Like I always get confused with how like the different like voting cycles work for all these award shows. But yeah, Harrison Ford especially, like we need to get them some awards for this show because it's awesome.
Can I just say something about like the most recent Golden Globe? Everyone agrees this was like the weakest season of The Bear, right? Like it was like fine. It wasn't like incredible. And it like just again in comedy.
Oh God, don't even get me started on that. God, I hate the Golden Globes, man.
David hates cameos.
Very, very good point. Have any of you checked out, shout out to Kit Cloud Kicker in chat, a friend from my Rotogrinder shows coming out and tuning in now. Says he's a big pop culture fan, collected comics his entire life. And he's been watching Landman. And this is a show that I've been hearing a lot about. I've seen a clip of it on Twitter go viral with Jerry Jones, owner and GM of the Cowboys, acting his ass off.
Yeah.
Like legitimately acting his ass off. I didn't know about this show until literally yesterday. Have any of you been watching it?
I haven't, but my dad told me, he's like, and it's such a show for my dad, like my guy. And I'm sure all the dads out there, it's like the perfect show for them. But he's like, Jack, you need to start watching it. And I think it's Taylor Sheridan. It's one of his shows. Yeah. And this guy's like producing and writing a gazillion different things all at once. I don't understand how he does it, but I might need to enter the Sheridan universe. We'll see.
Is this the new Yellowstone?
Yes and no, I think. I think is the answer to that, because there's actual Yellowstone spinoffs. But then there's like it's like another version of Yellowstone. So yeah, Landman and Jerry Jones apparently.
Yeah, Jerry
Imagine-
Jones coming in hot.
Imagine going back to the 90s and telling someone that, like, yo, Billy Bob Thornton and Demi Moore are going to be on a TV show about oil drilling in Texas and like watch someone's head explode.
Truly incredible stuff. I won't take too long on myself because I want to get into the Skeleton Crew stuff. We got some people in chat, even in the Twitter chat. Shout out Matt Remke in the Twitter chat hanging out. And Lil Treg's asking about Jude Law. It was his character in Order 66 Survivor. So we will absolutely dive into that right away. What I've been watching is, speaking of Apple TV, I made it through season 1 of Severance. I just watched it for the very first time. I decided to wait until the show was almost out for season 2. And wow, am I glad that I did with the cliffhanger that at season 1 ended on. Such an incredible show. I think the next one I'm going to try and sink my teeth into on Apple TV Plus is Silvo. Haven't watched that yet, but I want to dive into it. But the people are here to listen to us talk about Skeleton Crew. We are 7 episodes in. There's 1 episode left to go. Aaron, what have you thought on the series as a whole so far? 7 episodes in.
What a funny time for the franchise. Everybody's so worried about Star Wars, and apparently you just need to make space goodies and everything would be okay. It's been such a weird ride. I also think it's very funny, Jack, that we had all these wild theories amongst the fandom of what was going on, and it is not any of that. It is not any of that. We'll get into it later, but I'm having a blast. Jude Law's having a blast. These kids are having a blast. So it's been really fun. I've been really impressed.
I'm happy you brought up that the Jude Law and the kids are having fun. I've been really impressed with the performances in this series, where usually you kind of have to take a show about with child actors with, like, you got to give it a little grade on a curve, because you don't want to be too harsh on people who are just developing their crafts. You know, they're learning to become professionals. But these kids are doing a really damn good job. The acting is really, really strong. Jack, what do you think about Skeleton Crew 7 episodes in?
I think it's been really good, and I've said it a couple times now on the Reckless Rebels podcast. It's been a great palate cleanser after, like, the controversy that was the Acolyte. Regardless of how you individually feel about it, it was very controversial. And for me, like, I'm glad we didn't jump right into something like Andor season 2 after that. I'm kind of glad we get something like this in between that's fun, that's light. I think it's been one of the most consistent Star Wars shows in recent memory. I mean, since probably Andor. Well, if you're not counting animated shows, since Andor season 1. But I will say this episode, probably for me anyway, the weakest so far, and kind of breaks that consistency I was feeling. That being said, I think the strongest part of the show has been the acting, like all around, at least with our main characters. Those kids and Jude Law are having a great time, and I'm feeling that while I'm watching. So it's been good.
Keeps hammering home for me that there's nobody better right now at creating television movie projects surrounding young talent than John Watts, because that's what always stood out for me in his Spider-Man movies. Is these teenagers feel like teenagers. You know, this isn't, as much as I love Andrew Garfield and as much as the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies have a special place in my heart, those aren't kids. You know what I mean? Those are adults. The whole last time, those are adults in high school. But the John Watts Spider-Man movies very much feels like awkward teenagers being awkward teenagers. And this feels like kids being kids. Damon, episode 7 of Skeleton Crew, what'd you think?
I was in it for the popcorn moments that this episode gave to me. And it delivered, because there's the times that this episode gave me that I'm texting you and I'm like, God damn. The popcorn moments with this show, and just in like Star Wars franchisey fandom-y type shows, that's the stuff that like always puts a big smile on my face, because it gets to that area where I'm like, oh, are we doing this? And I liked it. Like, I do agree with Jack. This may have been, at least from an overall story perspective, like maybe like one of the weakest ones, but it gave me, like, let's call them wrestling terms, a pop. Right?
Yeah.
It gave me like a couple of the biggest pops that this show is giving me, because I'm just like, oh, are we doing this? We'll get into that.
anytime you see somebody light up a lightsaber and it's when it's their first time doing it that we get to see it, it's like, ooh, 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 it's the pop, exactly like you said. Aaron, how about you? I was actually pretty high on this episode coming in. What did you think of it?
Well, I'm glad that some of the horses are going back in the barn, but I lament all of our high-minded theories. Like, as funny as a Reddit or social media or Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever can be, we do be building castles in the sky, and then it ends up being very, very normal, like boilerplate stuff. I also think, funny enough, I don't know if Jack feels this way as well. It feels almost like there's an edict for there to be a holding pattern, and that you can reference and tie back to other things from Star Wars' past, but you are absolutely under no circumstances allowed to draft whatever the future is going to be. That is just for the Filoni stuff that he's doing with Din and Grogu next year. Like, you are not allowed to touch whatever's coming next. Because I was like thinking, there's all sorts of weird jumping off points that you could have for whatever comes next off of this weird adventure with these kids, and it's just not going to be. It's not going to be that at all. It's a very self-contained little thing. Although it does seem like, I don't know what's going to happen next week, guys. Maybe there won't be. It'll just be a black screen for 35 minutes or whatever, depending on the ending we got.
Yeah, little Order 66 Anakin moment, and it's over. It's just the episode done.
I made a joke about Hayden Christensen as I was watching it 3 minutes beforehand. And then that happened, and I was like, oh no.
This one was definitely action-packed. There is some stuff going into the finale that I have some questions that I want answered, and they don't feel like necessarily there's leaving a lot of time to be answered. And bringing it back to the Acolyte a little bit, like kind of what Jack said, it's disappointing that, as somebody who loves to really get in the weeds and theorize and dissect every little thing, the Acolyte was, whether you love the show, like the show, didn't like the show, it was a really good show for that. And really picking up points of various High Republic things for the High Republic fans, for the magical fans of the Star Wars universe, and as well as, the Plagueis side of things and the Sith side of things. It was a great one to speculate and theorize. And so it was so disappointing that it kind of just left the gross taste in our mouth and no one got to really enjoy talking about it, because if you tried to talk about it, whether you liked it or not, it wasn't a very fun conversation online. But with this one, even though it doesn't seem like we're going to get the crazy theorizing stuff like I like to do, it is, like you guys said, a palate cleanser, a breath of fresh air. And I think Star Wars did need its own little contained thing right now where people could just have fun. And it's like, even if you don't love this, there's nothing terrible you can say about this show. It's just kids having fun doing Star Wars shit. And so it's pretty fun to get to see, and I do hope we get to continue with these stories in the future. Let's start talking about this episode. And I thought it was so funny at the beginning when we were seeing all the parents, and all the parents are just kind of like, whatever, right? Everybody on this planet, I don't really trust all that much, and it took them a lot to get to really be worried about their kids, and they're still not really doing shit. But I thought it was hilarious how Neil's mom is so Neil. Like, you can tell that Neil came from his mom, right? The way she was just like, I'm going to grab it and run. And then just immediately gets stunned. I was like, can you not see that exactly happening to Neil as well? David, what do you think of the opening sequence?
The opening sequence made me think this. They're definitely not on an Empire / First Order planet, because the drones, the droids, can actually aim.
I knew exactly where you were going from the moment.
Immediately, I was like, oh damn, they're hitting their shots. All right, I guess that goes against them being like First Order or Empire. Like, there goes that.
Aaron, what did you think? I didn't even pick that apart, but that is a very, very good point. It was spot on. It felt like our opponents in Marvel Rivals. What did you think of the opening sequence with all the parents going?
Oh man, I was like, well, this is a weird cold open, right? We have paid exactly what? Maybe 6 to 8 minutes total and 7 episodes on the kids' parents, and now we're just doing a long extended riff with them running, playing football with no Chadwick Boseman to say, "Give it to me, Clint."
I was,
that's
damn it, Aaron. I was just about to mention that.
Oh man, just a little Tom Holland in the corner going, oh God, please take this freaking mitt from me.
Hey, Peter Parker. Why did I don't know why. Something about the way Carol Danvers says, "Hey, Peter Parker." It just like it hits me in a certain spot every time. I'm like, ooh, Carol, damn, I'll give you whatever you want.
I'll give you whatever you want. Take all of it. I don't want to completely derail you guys, but yeah, like it was like, I guess it's supposed to be kind of harrowing for the kids, like harrowing for us as viewers. Like, although the only people you intrinsically feel really, really scared for are Neil's parents because they look like Neil.
Right.
And of course, we're all worried about anyone in my man's lineage because he's just very sweet and kind. Jack.
Oh, the lineage you said, that term was perfect. Neil's lineage, the most important thing coming out of Skeleton Crew.
When they come out at Star Wars Celebration and go, "The life of Neil," and all of us cheer, and I want you to remember this moment.
Oh God.
Shout out to a loyal Faith Hero listener, Chris Chipperson, hanging out in chat. What's good, Chris? Jack, opening sequence. I realize Aaron just passed it to you. So any other final thoughts on the opening sequence? But then you can also take us to the next one, where the kids reunite with JOD. There was some stuff I found pretty ridiculous with that one. The whole communicator sequence was so pointless, other than to give us the really nice moment with the parents to the kids. It felt like, I don't know if any of you are reality TV fans, but it felt like in Love Island when people have been there for the entire season and they get the parent messages at the end and their families are like, "Oh, we're so proud of you." That's what it felt like.
Survivor too.
And I couldn't just help but think, you're trying to do this so secretive. The kids all know what planet you're from. Why do you keep saying Aden and all these incriminating things in your communicator?
Too. Yeah.
They know where you're from. Just say home.
Yeah. And they also have no idea who's gonna pick up that message.
Right?
It's just what? Well, I will say with the opening sequence, I was a little traumatized because I saw the forest and I was like, are we gonna get little Leia running through the forest in Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 2 here? Is this gonna be as bad as that was? At least the way it was shot. And no, they were smart. They made it quick. They did a little football thing, I got more so a fumble to the next guy until they were all out. Except for Fern's mom, which I keep forgetting is what's her name, an Oscar-nominated actress. Oh my God, I'm blanking right now. I'm pretty sure she was nominated for the Banshees of Inisherin. It's such just a random. Honestly, kind of feel like they're wasting her. Maybe she'll have a moment in the finale. I don't know. It's just she's just there. But yeah, the whole. Say that again. Right. Yeah, she's a great actress, and in this she's just sending up a very dumb message to the galaxy that's supposed to be very secret, but anyone can get it, and here's the secret way back to our secret home that no one else can know except you guys, but here you go, galaxy. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know how quickly we want to move to it, but when you said the kids reuniting with JOD, the first thing I thought of was that moment with Brutus the Wolfman. That kind of, again, credit to the show. It's a smart show. We kind of go into this thing thinking that we're getting another Din Djarin Grogu situation where it's going to be this guy who doesn't really want to really care about this kid or these kids. And you think he's got, his heart's going to grow 3 sizes and he's going to end up caring about them and looking after them and all this stuff. And he's kind of done that throughout the series so far. But then this moment of just cold, I thought, what was it, 2 weeks ago, was pretty cold-blooded of him to try to take over the ship and SM-33 Smee. But this of just straight up shooting him in the head and taking over And then it continues throughout the episode. It's like, oh, we're getting something different with this character. And I appreciate the show for taking us down a different route than the other path that Star Wars has done. It feels like many times, especially recently with Din Djarin. I don't know. It kind of caught me off guard of just how dark we get with JOD's character. And I appreciated that, especially in an episode that I didn't think was the strongest for the series.
You want to hear how season 2 is going to end? Because when you brought up Brutus, this is what this reminded me of. Season 2 is going to end with all of the kids realizing that they need JOD's help. But JOD is Captain Silvo here. He is believed to be dead. And so they're going to have to go to the edge of the galaxy to bring back Captain Silvo from the dead. And to do that, they will need a captain. And so they will be speaking with a magical witch lady who is actually the god of the sea.
What in the Reddit fanfic are you going on right now?
Brutus and Silvo are Captain Barbosa and Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
And so season 2 is going to end with JOD dead. The kids are going to go to the end of the earth. And then the space witch is going to be like, you're going to need a captain. And Brutus is going to march down the stairs and be like, I'm alive.
I mean, this all plays into my entire theory, which I jokingly said that this show is like almost a failed Pirates of the Caribbean reboot pitch.
It's the dynamic between the two of them when they were walking side by side, when he was like, when Brutus was like, no, we're gonna kill you. He's like, you can't kill me. The crew loves me. No, they love plunder. No, they love me. That was such a Barbosa and Captain Jack moment. What did you think of JOD's arc, where I was kind of hoping a redemption arc would come, Aaron, but this dude seems bad to the bone.
Yeah, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. I can't remember the last time I was right about anything, to be honest, because I think it was like the last few episodes. First of all, yes, this place is a real planet, TJ. You're gonna throw that in my face, but it's fine because there's a little asterisk.
Right
on
about
it, so
something really good. Wasn't it Agatha the Ghost? Agatha Harkness becoming a ghost. You nailed
There
that.
you go. Thank you.
You had one.
Velcro method, man. You throw enough things at a wall, something will stick.
Right.
Yeah, I thought for a hot minute that JOD's entire gig was like being mean to actually save the kids. Very clearly not. Very clearly not. Because once when he did the blaster through Brutus's head, that was, I think, the first goddamn that I sent you. And I was like, oh, wasn't expecting this show, which is a kid's show, like, family show, to go there. And like that, that got me to sit up a little bit, especially because, that the whole sequence with the communicator, I'm like, that's dumb. It's dumb on everyone's part. At least put some sort of encryption on that thing. But I enjoyed that because it just went in a direction I wasn't expecting, just like Jack said.
Aaron, how about you? What do you think of Captain Silvo, JOD, Nawood, whatever the heck his name is? This dude doesn't seem to be like he's going to be helping anybody out anytime soon.
It doesn't. I was delighted because I'm like, he's a bad guy. He's like, the kids, yes, you guys were kind of wrong to trust this goofy, ridiculous drifter type, because the second he got close to power, he just assumed it. Like the villain laugh with the gold.
Oh my god.
That always he having like a blast. But I'm like, oh no, that's not somebody to be trusted. Like if you heard that and you were just in like I expect the droid to be like, hey, you good?
Droid's just sitting there, just like, this is normal.
He's like,
this is a very normal thing to go on right now.
Yeah. Look at this Republic. Look at this Republic correspondent, whatever the hell it was called. Look at him,
emissary.
Emissary casually just sniffing and putting his face under the gold.
It must be his first time
across his skin. This is what it brought. This is why, like, it reminded me of like when I was saying this in the previous episodes, where his and the pirates' quest for treasure, it feels so much like an addiction, where there's never any point where they are satisfied. There's never any light at the end of the tunnel that they're reaching, and you can tell that when he's just feeling this gold on his face, laughing. Like, you're not doing anything with that shit. You just were looking for the high.
Thank you for bringing that up, because the first thing I thought when he was like playing them against Brewis was what's Homeboy's name? Jesus. What do you guys know the name of the leader of the gang in freaking Red Dead Redemption 2? He keeps telling them one more score, just one more score, and we'll be out and it'll be fine.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, he brought it the same game on them. The same game. Like, you guys are hungry and tired, and if you just follow me and throw this guy in the headlock.
I had to do it in the accent, otherwise I couldn't get there. I had to hear Arthur Morgan saying it in my mind to get there.
Poor Arthur. Pour one out. And that's just how it felt. It was very weird. I'm like, not to be trusted. You shouldn't be trusting that guy, man. Like, he's gonna sell all y'all down the river. He likes you enough until his neck's on the line, and then it's whatever. Like when who's the buff lady enforcer? When she lowered her gun, like, girl, don't put your gun down. Put that gun back up, girl. Keep that hand on that trigger. You gonna need that, and you too, Urkel.
I always forget he's there, and then I see him like, oh yeah.
You know who Buff Lady Enforcer reminds me of is Buff Lady Enforcer from Thor Ragnarok.
It's TJ, yes.
Yeah. Grandmaster's like right hand. That's who she reminds me of.
Yeah, absolutely. I do just want to the melty sick.
Yeah.
The kids need that in this show. I do just want to say real quick, going off of the high of the gold, it plays into this one theory that I still have, Aaron, that the supervisor is Captain Rennod.
I'm all aboard that one too.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone. Yeah, I think he got there, saw the treasure, and just kind of found a way to take over and literally just be with that gold and that mint like for the rest of his life. I just wonder who it's going to be.
Damon, I hope so badly it's Hondo, but I don't think it's going to be Hondo.
We need to give up that, man.
I know.
We're on the
finale. Hondo.
That was an episode 4 thing when they went to that weird Great Divide planet. That was the Hondo episode. That's where we could have had it. It's gone.
Yeah,
it's out of here.
I know. But I do think this lends to the Captain Rennod theory of him being the supervisor. And Damon, much like you became a moon expert in Agatha, I'm going to need you to become a hook expert for Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
Because, Captain Hook, there's a little hook there. Mm-hmm. But shout out to Kyle Katarn for this tweet. Just occurred to me that Farah, Fern, and Donner, which is Rennod spelled the other way around, are all types of hooks. So what if Captain Rennod is Captain Hook of this universe, and his daughter is Farah, and his grandchild is Fern, the true captain of the Onyx Cinder?
I love it.
I love this theory. I love this theory.
I love it so much.
Jack, what do you think, Jack? Fill me. Somebody take it away from me.
I mean, it just kind of makes sense. I mean, I forget who brought it up. Aaron, it may have been the show or the episode you were on with us on Reckless Rebellion, but someone mentioned that we may just like never, because Rennod's hologram was blurred out.
Yeah.
That's an intentional, you don't just do that. That's an intentional decision. And I just don't think they do that without, they have to use him in some way in the finale, and not just because they're on his ship or they have his droid. Like, there has to be something more there. And I would personally just be shocked if we don't get anything more with him that's more of a mystery. But at the same time, TJ, you kind of mentioned it. There's a lot to wrap up, and this show has kept a pretty small runtime for the most part, episode to episode. And like, I thought we were going to get JOD's backstory a little bit more in this episode. We didn't. So if they want to do that, there's that to do. There's the Rennod mystery, the supervisor mystery, a little bit more to reveal about the planet. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous for this finale, and we might run into the Disney Plus problem that they've had with Marvel and Star Wars of just like these finales not coming through. But they have me like every time, like I get hooked. I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see what it's going to be. Maybe they'll get it right this time. Maybe it'll be like really interesting. And a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times they've dropped the ball. So I don't know, but I'm sticking with this theory till the end. I'm usually not the theory guy, but this one I'm proud of. And you know what? Even if it doesn't happen, I'm still proud of it. I'm still proud I came up with one.
I love it. I'm all aboard right there with you. I do want to get into the JOD's backstory because that is the, I think, biggest mystery remaining left in this show. We had somebody ask in the beginning, was he a survivor of Order 66? Was he a Force-sensitive child who never went to the Order in the first place? It's very interesting, especially because, much like you said, Jack, like they made it a point to show that this was like a blurred Captain Rennod. We don't know who it is.
Mhm.
And they seem to be making a point with the shots of showing us that no one other than these kids knows that JOD is Force sensitive. He has not shown that to anyone else other than these kids. And he's still sitting there in the handcuffs with Brutus. And then as soon as he's killed Brutus, the only one who can see his hands are the kids. He uses the Force to break out of them. But he strictly only does that in front of them, almost for the purpose of, I would guess, plausible deniability of, oh, they're kids. I just tricked them. They don't know what they're talking about. If they ever tried to say he was. But Aaron, why do you think he is keeping this so hidden? And what do you think his true origins are?
I was just going to say, because we don't know exactly where this is supposed to take place on the timeline, do we?
It's around the same time as Ahsoka. It's like right in that.
Okay. All right. So, all right, we're in weird space then, because things haven't completely gotten to the end of where we're supposed to be at the end of everything. Like absolutely secret trilogy.
So, like in my mind, he should be around the same age as Ahsoka.
Yeah, right. So we now know Order 66 was not as total as we were led to believe we were children. You thought everybody didn't make it out of there, but like Grogu's out of there. Like you had other random Jedi in other parts of the Star Wars universe, Visions, etc. Who
Jedi hated Jarrus.
Yeah, oh my God. Could you imagine this is how that gets introduced in it? Cameron Monahan just walks out of nowhere. Everybody loses their like freaking 10 out of 10. All the Rotten Tomatoes love in the world. We're never gonna. I don't know when we're gonna get it, Jack. It's so silly. I love those games so much. But I do laugh. I'm like, man, we meet so many Jedi, just so many. Y'all supposed to, just like in our world, bureaucracy stinks.
Where were y'all when Luke was trying to take down the Empire? Like, couldn't you guys have formed a little squad?
This is the same thing as I laugh at you, a Power Ranger fan. Like, yeah, they about to blow up the Earth. Oh, I'm busy, man. I got stuff to do. I have to mail a package. It's like there's a big kaiju monster in the background. So I think that he is an escaped child from Order 66, and that having to survive, he like basically dark street urchined his way into being a pirate, right? I think that's totally it. And also all this Hook stuff, all this Peter Pan stuff begs the question, who's Peter Pan then? If there's all this Hook, Wendy stuff, like who's Peter Pan? Like, and he could be, he could be your Robin Williams, where he just was like locked in. It would be very funny. It'd be very, very silly to have happen. That was my thing when you brought that up, because I didn't know about this Hook theory thing. I'm like, oh my God, it makes total sense. But I feel like that the plausible deniability, a boy can fly. You can't know about it as adults. You can't be aware of the magic, right? And having Wim be the kid who believes in it, it all kind of tracks. So I think we're on the road to that. And it also gives him an excuse that if in season 2, because I also think I'm One Piece fan, so the premise of that pirate anime is that one of the big treasure that they're all vying for is also hidden behind a series of like other challenges. They're like, you just have to go here, and then you get there, and it's like not so much. And Star Wars, modern Star Wars especially, loves a scavenger hunt. Loves the scavenger hunt. So be prepared for them to get into the server room for the supervisor and to give them some other coordinates and a dagger, and we'll do this all again in 2 years. Sound good? Kids will be like 28.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Why not?
Stranger Things. Sean Levy's like, yes, absolutely.
Euphoria season. I actually really do like the idea of like JOD has to remember how to believe again. like Robin Williams in Hook. Captain Rennod is secretly Dante Bosco, and Rufio comes back
Stop.
as Captain Hook for this. And
Is TJ going full Reddit mod today? What is going on?
Yeah, he is.
It's cold meds. It's the cold meds. They're opening my brain
That's right.
to the higher
He's
power.
having an experience.
I'm opening myself up to the Force, and it's allowing me to think in ways that I see things I had never seen before, think in ways I had never thought before. And hopefully we make it to the end without passing out or having a cough attack. What do you got, Jack? It's gonna call you John.
Well, you know, he is one of his nicknames is Crimson Jack. That seems to be the one that has it stuck. Look, I think the idea of him being a survivor of Order 66 to some extent is the most likely option, but the way he was wielding that lightsaber makes me think he's never handled a lightsaber in his life before. So I'm like, is he just some force sensitive kid that like had a tough upbringing and just somehow became a pirate? Is that like all the backstory? And if that is the case, that only requires what, like a couple lines of dialogue to communicate, and pretty easily communicated, and we can move on from it in the finale. But I don't know. Jude Law just kind of looked a little bit awkward holding that thing. And at first I was like, oh, maybe Jude Law isn't as cool as I thought he was. I was like, no, yes, he is. Yes, he is. It's on purpose. So I don't know. It's just a thought I had while I was watching it.
He learned he was a force sensitive kid that was saved from Order 66 and taught to be a pirate by none other than Hondo Ohnaka.
There it is.
Who brought him under his wing and taught him how to be a pirate. And that was why that Hondo Ohnaka had such a soft spot for a young Ezra Bridger, because he reminded him of his former protege, JOD Nawood, before he became Captain Silvo.
Somebody get me these meds.
That's a good theory.
It's not terrible.
That's
It's not your worst one.
Someone give me the meds for whoever came up with JOD Nawood as a name, because it's just like, what do we do? Is there an explanation? Is there a theory?
Genuinely the worst Star Wars name I've ever heard.
It's so bad.
There needs to be some pirate significance that I don't yet realize. But
yeah.
Before we kind of go final thoughts, there was some stuff in this episode I thought was really cool. The Vault looked really awesome to me. I thought it looked like really secretive, cool, huge. There are 1,139 of those things, so there is a lot of money on that planet. They finally get back home, and I am still waiting for Wim to just successfully once have his like rah, let's do it moment, and just like actually win, and not just like stumble like he did with the lightsaber, like he did in this one. Like, the dude's just taking L's anytime he tries to go for it, but he doesn't let him get it. Doesn't let him get it down. Doesn't let it get him down. And I really am just waiting for a moment where he finally gets one of these wins. Aaron, what did you think? Any final thoughts with this episode before we talk about the kind of big epic conclusion?
I too am waiting for our boy to have his moment in the sun. It can't just be thanks, Jedi, and like that's the only thing he ever does, right? I mean, it'd be funny, but I also would like him to get some sort of dub here before the end of things. I also have no idea how we're going to resolve this. Jack joked around about the D+ model finale trains hitting the station. Somewhere Brandon Davis is like nodding solemnly and happily, like, yes, let it flow through you. If Wim gets a coat or a robe, I will be on that man's neck so hard on Face Hero. You heard it first. If he gets a costume, I will be on his neck.
We already got a new costume. We got a new ship. That's what Star Wars does. You don't get new costumes. You get new ships.
Gotta be. He gets some sort of costume. He gets a jacket. He finds Finn's jacket. Something. He has to do something so I can laugh at it, so I can needle my friend. That's what I want for it to be successful at the end. I have no idea where we're going, folks. Like, it's truly been more enticing than I thought, but I have all the same sort of sort of questions of like, okay, but like, what's the end game here? Also, none of them pirates can leave this planet. Like, everybody gotta go, right? Because people can't just know that there's a money fountain planet. I don't think it'll destabilize their economy for one, and second of all, bad people might get it. That's not good.
That also raises the question of who is really in charge. You know, there's a Republic emissary that they think they're reporting to. Is that Palpatine? That was kind of always my thought process, is if this Empire, this First Order, this Final Order keeps popping up out of the woodwork, somebody's got to be funding it. It can't just be Palpatine sitting in a tube, you know? Like, he may be calling the shots, but somebody's got to be the financier. How do you say that word?
That's what I've been going off with this planet. There's so many weird things about this planet. It's like, why are they stuck in a literal like time frame that like Alderaan hasn't exploded yet?
Right.
Like, why are they stuck pre-Galactic Empire, essentially?
It's giving there's no war outside of Bossing Say.
It's like they're
God.
That's why exactly. That's why
so
it's like there's like
all the droids are JOD.
What if the money isn't actually going anywhere and they're just keeping it all for themselves, so that way old pirate guy, he just sees all his money just kind of piling up, and that's why everyone just forgot about it.
It might.
That's possible too. That is very possible.
Because the parents clearly they know some things. Like Wim's dad even says you weren't supposed to know any of this before you graduated. But they also don't know other things, like you said, Damon. They don't know about the war. They don't know about Alderaan. So it's like, what really is the truth here? When they were saying Republic emissary, I don't know why it never even occurred to me to think that that's who the droids think they're giving this money to, is the Republic this whole time. But it's probably not. I like both your theories. I like the theory that it could be Palpatine, First Order, Final Order, all the orders, whatever it is. I also like the theory that it is just Rennod, just like being like, yeah, just give me my money. I don't really, it's all a sham. Yeah, I'm excited for this finale. I have no clue how it's gonna wrap up. I do think though that opening of the next episode, final moment, JOD. Sorry, I'm reading the comment.
That's hilarious. That's perfect. That's so good, Chris. That's so good. He had somebody played against somebody in Marvel Rivals whose name was Free Luigi today.
Oh my god. What man? Luigi Mania. It's a thing. That moment where JOD
of Mario and Luigi.
Yes. Of course. Yeah. The only Luigi I know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Yoshi, personally.
When JOD ignites that lightsaber at the end with the parents, I think he's absolutely going to be like, they play it as like, oh, he's threatening them. I think it's going to be, oh, I'm a Republic emissary. I'm a Jedi. Like, this is what I do. Right, kids? Wink, wink. And kids might play along for a little bit. But I think there's going to be a little bit of still coercing the kids, aka working together until I don't know how, but I think Wim is going to be the kind of guy in the group that he might not get the win himself where like his plan comes to fruition, but he's going to make everyone else believe, including the parents. He's like, no, you guys have to believe me. You have to trust us. And then from there, everyone together will eventually take down JOD or Rennod or whoever the big villain's going to be. But I think that's going to be Wim's win. Hashtag win for Wim. Let's make it happen.
Hashtag win for Wim. He gets through this. He grows up to be the world's best pilot and renames himself Poe. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
That's not a real one. I was keeping the good up. Aaron, any final theories going into the season finale of Skeleton Crew?
Oh man, it's just been such a fun ride. I'm really happy that to watch a Star Wars show and not have the discourse be around the stuff that the show is actually about. That's kind of nice to have. And nothing better happened to Neil.
No,
nothing better happened to Neil.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
Who again for the second show in a row, a fan favorite that the entire internet starts losing his mind over it?
I can't lose Jackie again. I can't lose Jackie again.
Oh, she was great.
I still can't believe that show did that.
I can't believe they lied to everybody. They lied to Brandon's face, like straight up, both of them. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." Suckers.
I don't know because could you I don't know. The show could do that. We did just see a big wolf man get blasted in the head. Get out of here with the Ray's mom theories, TJ.
Fern grows up to be Ray's mom. If my original theory of Omega being Ray's mom doesn't work out, we're turning it back to this. Somebody's gonna be Ray's mom.
It's got to be someone. It all makes sense though. I think the Fern theory is probably the most probable. That's how they connected to the sequel trilogy. I mean, come on, guys.
This is all about bridging the gap.
It's all connected.
The dog being in your lap adds to the manic energy of
It does, doesn't it?
unhinged theories.
My little Obi-Wan here. Obi-Wan heard us talking Star Wars, and he had to come hang out. We couldn't talk Star Wars without him.
How did this start from me torturing TJ to TJ torturing me? How did he reverse this on me? This is
All I
amazing.
needed. I said at the beginning of the show, the Skeleton Crew chat would revitalize me, and I'm ready to go. The sinuses are still plugged, but I'm feeling the best I have all day right now.
They haven't just revitalized you; they've awakened you.
Yeah,
TJ, you're operating on a whole new
plane
level.
of existence
partial
right
Skeleton
now.
Crew, partial awakening to the Force.
That's
The
right.
Force awakens. Fern is Ray's mom. All right, David. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? Anything coming up on the Comic Corner, etc.?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. It's all revealed that it was all just a ploy for more money because money is king and pirates love their money, and he's just sitting on a big pile of money like Mr. Krabs. It's money, money, money. That's all he wants. Whew. Okay. Comic Corner. We got
I wish
comics coming
I
out
wish I
tomorrow.
had more
Yeah.
time in the day, so I had more know-how to just easily go through this episode and just like do a reel of all of my stupid theories from the episode, from Fern is going to be Ray's mom to Dante Bosco as Captain Rennod, Rufio returning as Captain Hook, like just all of them cutting from one to the other to the other to the other, starting with the best and just getting more and more ridiculous.
I think the Rufio one's my favorite. As a Hook fan,
Rufio.
We got comics coming out tomorrow. We got Absolute Batman, Ultimate Black Panther. Go check them out at your comic shop.
Aaron, what's coming up on Phase Hero? Where can people find you on socials, and anything else you got coming?
It's at Summit Lake Hornet on all of the stuff. Phase Hero Pod on Instagram, Phase Hero on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and all the places. Brandon Davis, fresh off of Netflix Monday Night Raw, got to talk to O'Shea Jackson and Gerard Butler about Den of Thieves 2. This week's episode, I'm wondering what else is going to happen. It's been a constant stream of news. If you want to hear about Superman 2025, if you want to hear about What If you want to be around for Creature Commandos, because that's coming up, the ending. We're going to do a special live show after that's over. So come hang out with me and Brandon and Jenna and Jamie and enjoy more nerd culture. This has been so much fun, guys. Also, apologies to Hannah Templar, who wrote the novel I was asking about earlier. It's called Cosmo Knights. It's space mech gladiators. It's great. It's a good time.
Heck yeah. Jack, where can people find the Reckless Rebellion podcast? Where can they find you on socials?
Yeah, you can find Reckless Rebellion on all podcast platforms. The Reckless Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Reckless Rebels and Instagram at Reckless Rebels with 2 S's at the end. You can find me, Rebels, because someone else has Reckless Rebels, and I don't know who they are, but good on you, I guess. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jack Pues. And later this week, I don't even know what today is, Tuesday. So Thursday, Friday, we'll be dropping our review of episode 7 of Skeleton Crew. So be sure to check it out. And guys, thanks so much for having me on. This was awesome to finally be here. Hopefully it's the first of many.
Absolutely, first of many. We'll make it happen again for Andor for sure. We will be back live later this week, Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, breaking down the finale of Skeleton Crew. And then next week, Tuesday, immediately after the show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, we'll be talking the finale of Skeleton Crew, we are being joined by our friend Rachel Leishman coming back to break that one down for us. So tune in for that. And then next on the docket, this is why you got to hit the like button. You got to subscribe. You got to hit the notification bell because we got so much great stuff coming. We have we're going to be talking your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man at the end of this month. We're going to be talking Andor season 2 when that drops. We're going to be talking Invincible. We already have some really, really great interviews lined up for Invincible. We're going to be talking Robert Kirkman on, hopefully, fingers crossed, having him join a live show, but that'll depend on his schedule. But we're at least going to be getting an interview in for sure. Then hopefully some of the voice cast, just working out a few things and a little bit of tease. There may be, not going to give it away yet because it's still far away, and I don't like talking about things when they're far away in case they fall through. But a little bit of a tease. We got somebody involved with a pretty big certain Marvel movie that may be coming out this year with some interviews coming up. So stay tuned for that. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe to the Agents Fandom YouTube page, podcast feed at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. Follow Summit Lake Hornet on socials, Aaron Perine. Follow the Fates Hero podcast. Follow Jack Pues on socials. Follow the Reckless Rebellion podcast. Check out Damon on the Comment Corner and here with the Agents of Fandom. Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. We will see you later this week. Peace out.